If you're like me and you're coming to Thailand for the first time, it's safe to say there's gonna be quite a few things that you didn't know before you got here. Spending some time here, I have learned quite a bit about Thailand that I just didn't know when I lived in America. And I don't know about you, but I sure do love me some fun facts. Today's video, we've got a few things that I can pretty much guarantee you didn't know about Thailand. So diving right into things, we've all heard of Bangkok, right? Whether you've been to Thailand or not, we've all seen The Hangover, we all know about Bangkok. But what you might not know is Bangkok is kind of the westernized name. Now you hear Thais calling it Bangkok too, but the traditional name for Bangkok is much different. The traditional name for Bangkok is actually touted as the longest city name in the world. Now, of course, translating Thai to English is always gonna be a little bit rough, especially because they use a different alphabet, which we will talk about later in the video as well. But if you translate the traditional name to an English alphabet, it actually comes out to 16 words and about 167 letters. Now, that translation roughly comes out to City of Angels, Great City of the Immortals, Great City of the Nine Gems, Seat of the King, City of Royal Palaces, and Home of Gods Incarnate. It is safe to say that that is a mouthful. Now, like we said, you won't hear many people calling it by this name, even Thais, but in a lot of the traditional texts and everything, that's what it's referred to as. Today's video, guys, if you're doing a little investigative work, you might notice down here on the beach there's a small city built around me, and you might hear some motors ripping around in the background. This weekend in Jomtien, they're holding what is essentially the GP for jet skis all around the world, and the Grand Prix of Thailand is held here in Jomtien Beach. Now, they actually did this last year, but I didn't get a chance to check it out. So this weekend, I'm gonna be coming down, checking it out. If you don't know, I grew up in the desert, so honestly, I don't really know too much about jet skis or boats or water stuff in general. So I think it'll be cool to come down here and watch these guys rip and see what the deal is. So if that's something you wanna watch, make sure you stay tuned for this weekend's vlogs. Now, our second fun fact that you may not know, Thailand is still actually under a monarchy rule. They still got a king, they still got a royal family. And one thing I can pretty much guarantee you didn't know is that Thailand boasts the actual longest reign of a monarch, king, president, whatever it may be in history. So King Bhumibol the Great, I hope I didn't murder that too bad, was actually in power here for 70 years and 126 days, making him the longest reigning monarch, ruler, whatever it may be, whatever you want to call it, in the history of the world, essentially. And of course, hand in hand, that means the longest in the history of Thailand as well. Now, another one that I for sure didn't know, and I didn't really understand the significance of it until I started traveling a little bit around Southeast Asia, and that has to do with colonization. Now, we all took history class, we've all seen the YouTube videos, we know that Europe kind of had a tendency to essentially go around the world and kind of just set up and essentially take over all the countries that they wanted and try to, you know, implement their culture, teachings, food, all that stuff all over the planet. But a part of this that I didn't know is Thailand is actually the only country in Southeast Asia that was never colonized by a European power. Now, the key word here is colonized. I mentioned this briefly in another video a while back, and I had all kinds of people light me up in the comments say, oh, well, World War II Japan and the keyword's colonized. Now, of course, any country that's been around for as long as Thailand has, they've had their fair share of wars, they have been invaded, they've had to fight people off, and of course, they've had some people here that they didn't want here at the time, but they had never actually been colonized. Now, the significance of this is a big deal because if you travel around Southeast Asia, you'll notice little things here and there that obviously having that influx of European influence here in certain places made changes to a lot of things. One thing that you'll definitely notice is the food. If you go to places like Vietnam or even Laos, you'll kind of notice there's this underlying little Western influence when it comes to a lot of things. But in Thailand, not so much. Now, in the modern day, this has changed quite a bit with the internet and everything. But when it comes to Thai food, Thai culture, Thai religion, when it comes to Buddhism and everything, they never really gave any of this up because they didn't really have an outside influence or a reason to. also have like read specs online and seen YouTube videos talking about supercharged jet skis and stuff. So I figured they were fast, but I've never seen them rip in person like this. Holy hell. I've been in fast boats, and something about being on the water, 50 miles an hour feels like 100 miles an hour. So being on top of one of these things has to feel like a freaking rocket ship. Now our next one is something that I briefly mentioned earlier in the video, and that has to do with the Thai language and Thai alphabet. Now in English, we have 26 characters or letters, pretty easy to remember. We all learn them in like kindergarten, first grade. But the Thai alphabet / writing actually has 76 characters. Now granted, they aren't all letters the way that we use them. Some of them are kind of phrases or sounds. As somebody who's roughly trying to learn how to speak Thai, when I was learning Spanish, especially in school and stuff, what they teach you first is the alphabet. If you can read and understand sounds, it makes it a lot easier to learn stuff. But learning Thai writing and learning 76 new characters and what they mean is rough. If you do look at Thai writing though, it's pretty cool. It's definitely a lot more aesthetically pleasing than our letters in English. Similar to the traditional Bangkok name like we spoke about earlier, a lot of Thai people's names in Thai kind of run the same gambit. If you're ever reading somebody's ID, which boys always check IDs, it's insane. Sometimes it takes up like 3 lines. The names are super long, so nicknames make sense, right? Now in America, most of the time our nicknames are just kind of shortened versions of our real name, Mike for Michael, things like that. Now while this can be true in Thailand too, a lot of the times, most people you meet, they're gonna have 2 nicknames. Now usually one of these is given to them by their family or their parents when they're young, and it has some significance. It might be a shortened version of their name, or it might be a different Thai word because of how they acted or something like that. But then the other nickname, a lot of the time, a lot of Thai people just kind of choose for themselves. Now sometimes it might be a Thai phrase or sound, but a lot of the times it's gonna be an English word essentially. Ice, boom, cartoon, noon. And then when I first got here, like I met a girl called Cartoon, and I was like, oh, that means you like cartoons or something, right? 9 times out of 10, no. It really just comes down to that they like the sound of the word in English. What the word actually means in English generally has no real meaning on why they call themselves that.
Look through the looking glass, where feelings are much larger than they may appear. 'Cause nothing is good can last now. At least that's what I tell myself out of.
So this one definitely caught me by surprise. Now, if you're planning on coming to Thailand, or you've spent time here, or you're watching more YouTube videos, you'll know that there is one industry of work here that I can't really mention specifically because I'm sure YouTube would not like it. There's one industry here that is very popular. A lot of the rhetoric about Thailand, whether it be positive or negative really, has to do with this industry. And you might be surprised to know that it's technically illegal. Now, when it comes to certain industries in Thailand, gambling being a big one, it's taken very seriously. If you get caught gambling or they hear about an underground poker game or something like that, it's a really big deal. They will go in, they'll bust everybody, people will go to jail for a long time. And then there's other things where it's kind of just a look the other way type of deal from the way I see it. And this very popular industry is one of those. Another one that kind of piggybacks on it is vapes, like electronic cigarettes. They are technically illegal here in Thailand, and if a cop wanted to, you could get in a lot of trouble. It's a big fine. They essentially kind of treat it like a controlled substance. Now, that doesn't mean you won't see shops everywhere up and down the beach selling them, people walking down the street, hitting them right in front of cops. But just like the main industry we're talking about, if somebody really wanted to, you could get in trouble for it. This one definitely caught me by surprise because you see it everywhere all the time. So when you find out it's actually illegal, and people do have to be somewhat careful about it, big surprise. If you have any fun facts or surprising things that you learned when you were getting ready to come to Thailand, or when you spent some time here, feel free to drop them down in the comments. I love them. You can ask a lot of my friends. I'm essentially the fun fact king. I will drop some random knowledge on you whenever I get the opportunity. But if you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'd be happy to make more of them. These are really fun for me to do because I learn stuff. I feel like I'm getting to share cool stuff with you, so it's a win-win. If you made it this far in the video, I'm assuming you enjoyed it, so feel free, drop a like down on the video. Show the channel a little bit of support, tell the algorithm we're doing something right. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in the next one.